I'll take that responsibility.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, everybody ready, I guess? Or I'm sorry, Aaron, are you ready for us?
We're ready to go.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go and get started. I want to welcome everyone that I can see and can't see, and hopefully they can hear me, to our first Zoom Historic District Commission meeting, which is the June meeting. What I want to do, I believe, let's see, I'm going to call everybody's names for roll, and y'all just answer here or not here if you're not here. But just make that, we'll get that easier instead of us figuring out who's got to say their name next or whatever. So I'm Steve Hurd, chairman, for anybody that's looking and doesn't know. Got Emily Walter. Are you here?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Here.
Shelby Fiegel.
Here.
All right. David Carolina, I believe is absent. Am I correct?
Correct.
And Liz Hamilton.
Here.
Oh, okay. All right.
I snuck on. I don't know the protocol to announce yourself or not, so I apologize.
You're
Thank you
fine.
for taking roll.
Just that you're here is what I'm getting right now, so that's fine. Taylor Martin, we know, is here. Yeah, he said here. He's typing it. He's technologically hampered right now. And then Margaret West.
Here.
All right. Okay, so we're all here. First thing we have is looking at the minutes from February, the last time we got together. If everybody's had a chance to look at those, we'll need to take care of that real quick. So normal stuff here as far as motion, second, that kind of thing. So somebody jump in and do that.
This is Shelby, and I'll motion to approve the minutes from February.
Okay, I've got a motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Shelby and a second from Emily for minutes. Any more discussion? Everybody's okay with them? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? All right. And Taylor's voted too. I can see him. So, okay. So the minutes pass. Now, with our way we're doing this, we're going to try to be as normal as possible for commissioners as well as anybody listening. We do have some restrictions. Obviously, we're not in a room together, and we can't just kind of quickly, or not quickly, but smoothly move through everything. But with that, we're going to go through, and the first item up we'll talk about. I'll introduce it. Whoever needs to speak to it, if they're on with us, can. We will be able to ask questions, and James, you correct me. Will questions from public that are on here able to speak be okay? So no general public questions unless they've been submitted to the staff. Okay, and we'll find out on each one. We'll find out if we have any questions from the public. So, and we'll do the normal presentation of it. We'll ask for anybody else that might be there to speak in favor or in opposition. That's when James will tell us anything that's come from the public, and then we'll talk about it as best we can here and deal with it like we always do. So, with that, we'll start with 841 Donaghy Avenue. And it's a sign request for exceeding the square footage that's allowed. We've all seen this. It was deemed that we should see it publicly. And with that, is there anybody to present that? And I don't know who that would be, James, who would be expecting to see.
That's Brandon.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Brandon.
Hello.
Hi there. All right.
Thank y'all for seeing me. Yeah, so as you can see in your report, we're basically just asking for a variance on the size for a monument sign for Dr. Lindemann.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. You know this stuff. Give me just get for the record your name and address.
You bet. Brandon Rule, 1205 Georgetown. That's here in Conway.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Again, as I was saying in the report, you'll see there that Dr. Linderman's wanting to construct a new monument sign for his new facility. The facility obviously has his dental clinic in it, and then he has a little lease space there. And with that 16 square feet that's dictated by the sign ordinance in the historic district, he can't quite get the real estate that he needs for signage exposure for himself and have decent readable font when you're traveling by it 40 miles an hour, what have you, especially after that roundabout goes in later. So what he's proposing and requesting you guys consider is to allow him to go to 35 square feet for that monument sign. And I believe James has already done a great job of giving you guys some examples of some existing conditions that are of similar scale there in the historic district. And that's it in a nutshell. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Rule?
How, and I'm sorry if it's already in paperwork, how is this going to be lit?
So right now, he's looking at doing it externally lit, and it would be on each side, a very small ground mounted LED light that would shine directly at the sign.
And is that going to be on a timer?
Yes, it would be on the same timer that his building signage is on. So I think it's actually got a photo cell and then a timer to time off at the same time the rest of the building does.
Okay, I'm going to go through the process of if there's anybody else on our attendee list that wants to speak in favor of this project. I'll give you a few seconds to speak up just to say, hey, anybody on our attendee list that wants to speak in opposition to this request? No, I'm sorry, James. I'm sorry. I'm doing the normal stuff, and you're saying you have any? Pardon me. I went into mode of like we're sitting together. James, do we have any public input that you need to report?
No, we didn't receive any comments.
Okay, I'm so sorry for that. I just kind of zoned out. With that, then we need to discuss amongst ourselves with everybody else listening what we'd like to do with this. So anybody want to jump in there? Or anybody have any questions for Mr. Rule? Anybody?
I don't have a question as much as just a statement that I feel like the design of the Linderman Clinic and building, I think it's really well done in terms of the scale of the residential neighborhood that it's in, and also the just kind of giving an up-to-date, a little bit more of a modern vibe to the neighborhood as well. So I think it was really well handled, and I think the same thing with the sign. I know there were some other discussions on our email correspondence back and forth about the lighting of it and everything. And I know that with an exterior lit sign, if it's done well and kind of subtly and kind of without something like we've run across projects of ours, and they've had, our engineers sneak in a external light that's like 2 feet wide by 1 feet tall. We're like, that's way too big. So as long as it's done well and done mindfully of the neighborhood, I feel like it would be a good fit.
Okay. All right. I have a question for James. James, on the location of it, have y'all determined that it's okay where it's at, or is there more to be dealt with on location of the sign, from the street is what I mean?
Pending this, we'll have to work with the applicant
Okay.
finding a location that's outside of the right of way.
And my only concern when I went out there, went in the parking lot and back out, just trying to imagine, the concern would be that you're leaving the parking lot, that it's not going to block your view up the street to the east. And that's not, I didn't measure anything. That was just a concern that's always there for a sign at a drive. So that's my only note, is that we do know that if we do approve it, I'd hope that it can be located where that's not an issue. That's all.
We'll take it.
It was a concern more than a complaint, So, okay. Anybody else want to add to this or say what we want to do with this?
I just have one more question, Steve, like based on what you were saying. You can kind of see, I'm assuming where the grass is different, that's where the roundabout is going. Am I assuming that wrong, James?
So that's the right of way that's been acquired.
Yeah.
So some of that will be used. It's going to be a considerable amount of it that will be, yes.
So going off of what Steve's saying, will a sign that large be, I mean, I know you haven't determined a placement yet, but is that going to be a visual barrier for people who are trying to get in and out of the roundabout?
No, not really. I mean, the reason I say that is the sight lines in a roundabout, you're always looking left. And so the sight line from the southern approach, you'll be able to easily see the traffic on Caldwell.
And my concern was leaving the driveway of the clinic itself, was that, you know, looking to the east. If it's back far enough, it's not an issue. That was what I was bringing up, Emily, was leaving the roundabout. I didn't figure that was going to be an issue. It's, I think, far enough away, but like James is saying, and all, and where you're looking, but I was just worried about wanting to get out and say, turn left out of the driveway, and you need to look right and see right. And maybe if that blocks it, then that's an issue. But again, I think there's enough acreage there, enough spread that it shouldn't be. That was a concern, not a reason to change anything. Just it was a concern, you know. So
Okay.
So let's make a note of that. Is really all I was want to do.
Okay. No, that's my last question.
Okay. We're you know, it's again, we've approved signs, you know, not quite this big, maybe they're in this range, and it's not I personally don't think we're being asked a lot of variance on this compared to what our requirement is in the how it's going to set on the property. But I'm just noting that. Like I said, I think it's a handsome sign. But you guys let me know what you want to do with this.
I'll motion to approve the proposed signage, allowing for the variance from the size ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, got a second from Liz. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good motion. Second. Any more discussion about it? I think we're good. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Taylor.
And looks like Taylor said aye. Any opposed? We've got none that I hear. All right. So that motion passes. Okay. Thank you, Brandon.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for your input.
And thank you, Liz, for your kind comments.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Next one on the agenda, I'm actually going to represent the owner on this because it's a project of mine. So Emily will be chairman for this issue, then we'll jump back to me. But with that said, Emily.
All right. So we have 717 Chestnut Street. Blake Allison, are you on the call?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is a new construction single family residence behind a one-story commercial structure on Chestnut Street. So we have Blake and we have Steve on the call. So Blake, can you state your name and address?
Well, I think if I'm wrong, pardon me, but Blake wanted me to speak for it.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Steve. Okay.
You're fine. So again, Steve Hurd, 607 Davis Street here in Conway. Mr. Allison has an existing business there, the pawn shop, Big Bubba's Pawn Shop, that faces Chestnut on the front portion of the property. Been there many years. Has even has looked at this to do a whole new building on the site that would meet all whatever rules or apply for a building downtown. But what he's kind of backed up, instead of doing the whole thing, he's wanting to start with what he would have done as a phase two. Basically, phase one were a living quarters for him and his wife on the back part of the property where we've got it located. And so it's sort of a part two done first, and then he'll get going on the front part. But this whole thing, the brick and a roof, again, trying to be as close to what we need to do downtown as we can. The building to the south is with a pitched roof and pretty wouldn't be approved now. So we're trying to meet guidelines in the best way we can right now with what he's wanting to do for part B of a A and B thing. If he ever does part, I mean, when he wants to get around doing the rest of it, this will be just the backyard part of it. But anyway, with that, it's just a brick structure, single family, under the roof it's going to have a parapet wall around three sides and slope to the east side, which is a kind of the little tiny gap between him and next door neighbor. And it's basically the entry for driving is the alley that's considered an alley there behind the post office. It connects the post office to the streets to the north and south. So it's going to have a carport essentially drive into this structure on the rear. If you look at the elevations, they're sideways, but the west elevation will have brick openings to like a patio, covered patio area that he's going to have with also driving the car in, carport type thing, and openings on all three sides of that patio area. I call it patio. It's just a covered space. And the other half of the building will be his residence, open with lots of windows out to that patio area. And with the guidelines as they are saying that the windowsills can't be any higher than 4 feet above the floor, which is what we've got shown, and to the ground would be great too if you're a commercial structure, which would, if we were facing the street, that's what we'd have. That's not a problem. But this being his residence, and back there along that ditch on that north side, which is an unsightly thing anyway, he was asking, the 4 foot was okay, but asking if we go to 6 feet for the sills on that side because of security, people walking, having access across a way that he can't control that much, and he's trying to use up the site like he's allowed to. So no fence was anticipated, but with that ditch there, it's just there. And if he could go to 4 feet for those sills, that would be great. And we're going to what was it? I think 9 foot for the heads. So there's still a lot of window, but anyway, but his main thing that came up when we were talking was security, and if we can keep that, as high as we can, would be great. I'm not talking little ribbon windows up top because there's still some pretty good windows, but that was that concern. Right now there's a kind of a courtyard created between the two buildings. If it's built like this, the next phase, his business building will either connect to the two, connect this and be just a continuation of this with a little more detailing that's required on the front, or it may be separated still. That's being looked at, talked about. That's not figured out. Mainly is to get this building built and move in so that he can then kind of regroup and get the rest of it going. But anyway, I don't know if I'm talking in circles or not, but it's just single story, but the height matches what we're supposed to have, a 15-foot floor to floor. Since there's no floor, we're up 15 feet with that parapet wall on the three sides that you can see from the street. So that's been done. We've got some panels, recessed panels of brick and windows in there, and then there's some cornice work with brick, like some of the old buildings. So trying to do the detailing, but this being the second building, the sub building for when he does his final one is kind of where we're going to. So with that, I don't know. Again, you're leading. I'm not. Sorry.
Okay. James, do we have any public remarks?
We don't.
Okay. So is there anyone else on the call in favor of this project? Is anyone else on the call opposed to this project?
Or
Okay. Anybody have any questions about this project?
I think I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Liz. And so our building is actually just to the north. I say our building, H&N Architects will be the immediate neighbor to the north. So it's a commission question, and it's also kind of a public question. I don't know where this all lands, but just letting you guys know that I'm going to be a neighbor of it as well. So I want to make sure that I understand what's going to be built behind us. And the ditch is not cute. It's terrible. So let's just call that what it is.
Liz, can I ask a question, Liz, real quick?
Yeah.
Is there a building between your building and this one, or is that the same building right there at the ditch? I can't. My memory just went out.
It's all the same.
Okay. I couldn't remember if there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Pardon the interruption. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. And I was trying to so we are our building faces Main Street, but our back door opens onto the ditch, and so we have our office space, and we're going to have a tenant next door to us, and both of us back up to the property that we're talking about. So with that being said, so this is going to be built behind the pawn shop, correct?
Right.
Okay, and so what is the, now out of curiosity and nosiness, what's the phase 2? You said they were going to do something to the other phase?
He's looking at it, not sure he's going to do it, but if he ever wants to bring up the pawn shop building to basically to the level of this one, new and do a new building basically, that's he's all in to do whatever the guidelines say as far as, I mean, he's talked about having a lease space in it, maybe a second story, that all that kind of stuff, but it's one that's not cast in stone right now. He's trying to get established in the piece that we're asking for now, and then kind of sit and look at what he's going to do next. But it would be his business and maybe a second one as a lease there too. But that would have to, whatever the guidelines are. I mean, we're trying to adhere to the guidelines now too, but whatever they are, it'd be a storefront to facing Chestnut, and done as needed to be done. But this part being back behind, I'm not saying rules don't apply, but it's just that hopefully there was a little leeway we could have on some of the fenestration, some of the things being done, just because it's a residence and they'll be there all the time, as opposed to a business that won't be all the time on the front. That's
no. I think it's kind of cool to actually design it around a courtyard in this little area. Again, knowing that I, being personally invested in it, I think that's kind of a cool approach too. And so the west elevation is going to face the alley. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that'll be what you're calling the street facade, basically.
Well, I mean, it's not it's the alley facade, if you will. It's right next door is the back end of that little bank building. I forget whose bank it is, but with the air conditioning unit sticking out and all this kind of stuff, and and the next one is the same way. He's going to be set back about parking space depth from the alley proper, and I think has maybe one spot for him to park in, maybe two right there with some landscaping. And then his wall of this patio wall that's open with the punched openings and the opening for the car to go in. And then
so we can actually drive through that opening and then park right there, or no, that'll be the courtyard that you're talking about.
Right. On that one end, that south end will be a carport spot with doors there, and then glass across there and doors at the other end. And just a big patio area that with those windows and windows, I mean the punched openings in the brick wall. So, and it's just, having a business, this, you've got business downtown. Having a business is one thing. You lock it up, you go home and all, and if something happens, hopefully it's not bad. But living there, being there, pretty much sometimes 24 hours a day, since his business is up front, living in a space and sleeping in a place there, security was kind of something that bubbled up in our discussions, and that's where the higher sill was desired, just because it's the casual scofflaw may just keep walking, where, that was kind of why we were trying to get that. But I really would ask for that if we can. But again, on the front building, that's not an issue. That's going to be whatever, if we have sills to the floor, if we have whatever they are, that's what it'll be, a commercial building, where this is a residential in this area. So if that makes it clear or muddy.
Aren't there, now I'm going to show my ignorance here. Aren't there residential codes that require the sill of a window to be so high off the ground or so close to the ground for egress in case of fire and that kind of thing?
I know they have to be the windows have to be a certain size, and I may show my ignorance too. I'm not calling
at least we're in this together.
Yeah. Well, this is, we didn't have a plan, but it's pretty much an open plan with the bedroom that's closed off. And I think in the plan I have, there's bedroom, bathroom, and then out in the main area, I said everything else, is how I labeled it on the plan, because it's just as huge with doors out and everything. So I think I'm okay with that as far as egress goes. And there's actually a door to the courtyard too. So there's nothing, I'm pretty sure I'm okay with the egress conditions.
Well, as far I feel like I'm dictating the conversation.
But I think that's okay. I'm sorry, what?
No, I feel like I'm dictating the conversation. So if anybody else wants to jump in, please just interrupt me. But I think I'm fine with the higher sills as long as everything meets code and obviously sees and Steve's got a handle on all that kind of stuff. But I don't think I have an issue with it, knowing the security and that kind of stuff and the area that it's in.
Okay. Okay. We have somebody commented on the chat that they think, Cody Ferris, that sill height is 44 inches for egress. But I've got three points of egress as far as doors go, and they're all really close. And I guess I would say I'm not using the windows as egress. You know, I've got plenty of doors. But if
I thought it was from a bedroom in a residential thing, but that, again,
right.
I'll leave that to you to double check or whatever. But that was my only concern.
Here's the thing. We'll verify that. I'll verify that part. But you know, if we're given the higher sill height, and we have to make an accommodation for that from the bedroom, we'll take care of that. You know, that to me is not an issue. We'll deal with that. But yeah, you're right. The bedroom is the main one, I think. But we'll just deal with that if we have to. If that one time, if we could, you know, the windows on that north side are the main ones, and there's some also in the corner there on that, I believe on the east side. Well, no, they're not on the corner, but again, 6 foot sill is asked for. Just again, it's more of a security concern than anything. Nothing aesthetically. I you know, windows to the floor are great in our downtown, but this is kind of a gray area kind of building that. The front building would be built like that, but this is we're asking for a favor on this one.
So Steve, just to make myself clear, you're asking for a variance on the south elevation and the west elevation and part of the north for security purposes.
Well, wherever the windows are, yeah, that's because we have none on the south side because we're like just a few feet from that building with no light. They've got some windows on their side. They're up high that we're not gonna get there's just no benefit from that, and it's a weird spot over there. That one, and that's the side the roof slopes down to and has downspout and gutter, you know, gutter back on that side. And it's just going to be enough room to get down through there, and that's about it. But,
and for the benefit of the commission, the what the regulations require is a 3 foot sill height. That's in the code.
How much?
A 3 foot.
3 foot. I thought you said 30 foot. Okay.
I did too. What I wrote in the report was on the east facing and the north facades that it would be placed at 4 feet. That was listed, but that opaque glazing could be used on those windows. But that was what was in the staff report. But
right.
I just want to make sure y'all knew what the
and I just for the 4 foot I noted that, and we we talked about that. It's at opaque or not, at a lower sill is going to be more enticing than a higher sill to break into, and it's a concern. I mean, I think it's a real concern. I just hope we can talk about that and deal with that. But that's again, opaque glass or not, I think the higher sill is what would be advantageous to him. So with that,
do we have any more questions? Okay. Well, looks like I need a motion from someone on the commission. Anybody?
I think I still might be a little confused. I'm sorry. So Steve, so the staff recommended for recommendation 3 that the east and north, on my PDF, it's hard for me to see in the building design, like what the heights of the windowsills are. I don't even know if it says it.
They're drawn at 4 feet above the floor.
Okay.
Because I saw that was in the first recommendation that came. So they're drawn that way. I think when I first submitted it and talked to James, just here's what they're doing. I had drawn them at 6 feet. He came back with that as a recommendation to go 4 feet. So I dropped them, and the owner was, reluctantly saying, okay, but I really would like that 6 feet. And so we showed them at that. So they're at the 4 feet that was recommended by the staff and recommendations.
Okay.
But it'd be great if they could go 6 feet, basically they would line up with, well, I guess the bottoms of those openings in the patio area. That's what originally, and I'm thinking I might have dropped the head a little bit too when I did the 4-foot sill. So we're, at one point everything lined up across there, the openings in the patio area and the windows. Then when they had to drop, they changed that a little bit. So I'm not asking for 2 more feet to make me happy and make me sleep at night. So everything lines up, but it would be nice. But no, it's really that security issue is what just keeps coming up. He just wants to make sure he can control it from that side. Then after that, there's other things to do. But anyway, the opaque glass might be something he does too. I don't know about that, but that would help definitely too. But
Okay,
so,
that's where I was confused. Now that you said that the drawing that you submitted matches the recommendation, but you were still requesting
the 2 feet.
variance.
Yeah, go up 2 feet. Exactly.
That's where I was confused.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So we're good. Okay, so you're clear
Yeah,
now.
well, I think I understand now.
Okay. Well, I mean, green or not, it's one thing, but understanding, good thing. That's good.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where the drawing and what we were talking about was.
I got you. And I didn't put dimensions on there. You would have been, something to answer,
Right.
easy answer, but okay.
I was like, that looks like it's at the recommendation, so I don't even know what we're talking about, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
I kind of agree with Steve. I think it would help me sleep better at night if they all lined up across the top, no matter what the.
I had a feeling you would be okay with that, Liz. Yeah.
I mean, yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, dropping it was painful, but still, that's not,
Oh, I know.
There.
I know.
Okay. But the brick, the brick around it will be recessed back from the main face of the brick. These things will be kind of, recessed a little bit and a little corbelling above and below, just some shadow line making things and soldier course brick above and just some detailing, but not going nuts with it. That's, again, to me, the high end detailing one step beyond this will be on the building out front when it's the street front building, the part 2. But anyway, this will look like a baby brother to the big one, if you will, when that time comes. Okay.
Any other questions? All right. So do I have a motion from a commissioner?
I think Taylor just motioned in the chat.
Oh, cool. Motion to approve with staff recommendations.
Okay, so that's not allowing the variance then.
Yeah.
With 3. I mean, I'm fine since I guess we're opening it. Well, I guess you need a second first, and then.
Yeah. Do I have a second on this motion? Okay. So no second means it's a dead motion, correct?
Right. Failure to receive a second. I'm sorry.
So failure to receive a second.
It comes out.
A natural leader.
I'm going to I'll put my hand here.
All right. So do I have any other motions?
I will motion to approve and allow the variance of the windows to be at 6 feet. But I would request that new plans be provided to James and his staff. But that we also follow. So recommendations 1, 2, and 4 remain as is, but strike recommendation 3 and allow for the 6 feet variance on the windows with new plans provided by Steve and Blake.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's taking minutes? James?
Well, I know we're recording, so I assume.
Oh, my bad. I'm not even used to this. You're right. Okay. So we have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Oh, I don't know the rules. So if we raise the sill height to 6 feet, how high is the head of the window?
It kind of depends on the ceiling height in there, and that's been back and forth, 9 foot or 10 foot, but kind of up and down. So that was with the down at 4 feet. I had some play, and we're going to get it up there.
Mm-hmm.
Where I believe the openings are at 10 feet. the brick openings. I could be, yeah, I believe they are. So,
I'd be worried if we had a ceiling height of 9 feet, then you have to have a 12-inch header over the window. So then that would reduce the head of the window to be 8 feet maximum. And so then we'd have a window that's from 6 feet high to 8 feet high. So only, that would be like a ribbon window.
yeah, no,
A ribbon window, excuse me.
it won't be a 2 foot. It was those openings. Those openings were 10 feet, I believe. I'm looking. I'm on my drawings where I can see dimensions, but it was going to work construction wise, Liz.
Yeah.
But gosh, off the top of my head, I can't remember, and I can't get to my files on this computer. Shoot. But no, a 2 foot ribbon was not what we had. I know that, and that's
Okay.
that's. I think I want to say those are 3'4". Those openings, it could be not 4 feet. I think they're 3'4".
I would almost suggest to the commission that we consider, if everybody's more in favor of allowing the variance for security and for the owner's preferences to raise the sills to 6 feet high, then we also need to add a condition that the head of the window needs to be at the same height as the opening of the rest of the
Right.
punched openings in that courtyard wall. Does that make sense? Is that reasonable?
It does to me too.
So we don't have that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I'll- I
We'll
can
sleep better at
revise.
night.
I can revise my original motion to add that they would be consistent with the courtyard openings. I think, but
Okay.
Steve, I think that's what you said was in the design originally, correct?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't, like I said, I can't bring those files up to look at it right now where I'm at, but
Yeah. I think that would be provided as part of the resubmission of the plans to James.
sure. Oh no, it would be on there. Yeah.
I'm kind of unclear. So
Yeah.
on the east you're saying on the east elevation, it would.
East and north, correct?
Mhm.
So are you going to make the door taller, or are we just saying it's the windows?
No, I wouldn't do the door. That's me talking. It would be that brick opening would be taller, but not if needed be. But the door, maybe there's more glass above the door. I'm just.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like you have a transom. You can make that transom a little
Right.
bit taller if we wanted everything to line up, which I think is
Right.
the goal. And I feel like that also kind of gives it more of a commercial downtown look and feel, as opposed to something that might just be in response to
Sure.
the owner's wishes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine with that. I think we can do that.
I think that'd be good.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to reword my motion. I think that what I said was correct, but do I need to be specific? Liz?
Well, I've got it written down. Let me see if this makes sense. So, a motion to approve and allow variance for windows at 6 feet, with new plans to be provided to staff. Tops of windows must be consistent with the courtyard opening heights. And
I
then
think that's
number
right.
1, 2, and 4 remain the same for staff recommendations. Is that good?
Yes, that is what I said. So I'm glad that made sense. That is
Yes,
my
I agree then.
revision to my original motion.
All right. So we have a motion, second, an addendum. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Taylor's got an eye on there. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're good. And I will gladly throw this back over to Steve.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me get back to my agenda here. We're going. So the next thing we have up is the exterior remodel at 1830 Mill Street. We have, I believe, Zach Hendricks. Did I see Zach's name on here?
Yes, come on.
Okay. Okay, Zach. You want to tell us about the project?
Yes, sir. So we plan to, we're looking to add a bedroom on that south side of the house, the street facing side. And so with that, we'll need to move the door. There's already 2 front doors. And so we're going to get rid of one of the front doors, the east side front door. And then we'll be just moving the west front door into the more closer to the center of the house, not quite center. And then, so the consequences of that is the siding will need to be replaced. So we'll use the same siding that exists currently, which is wood. the teardrop type siding.
Yeah.
And then I believe James mentioned when we talked about adding a window just to the west of the new door, the new front door, using the cap and trim, and then let's see, and then just kind of centering up the porch, making it look cute and all that.
Okay. Zach, I'm sorry, I didn't, your name and address, part for the record, I do this all the time. I forget till the end, but.
Yes, sir. Zach Hendricks. I live at 1103 Watkins Street,
Okay.
Conway.
Thank you. My apologies for that. Okay. James, do we get any public input from this before this?
Nope, no input.
Okay. All right. With that, we discuss it. I agree with James on adding the window. Don't, that the first look up there that I guess was the proposed without the window. I think we need a window there. So there's no way to leave that door where it's at and have the bedroom work or whatever's in there work.
No, sir. It currently, we would have to, sorry, I'm outside.
You're fine.
Otherwise you'd be hearing kids screaming. Currently the door, I can't remember the exact measurement, but it's like 5 feet off of that west wall.
Okay.
And that's right where we're wanting to add that bedroom.
Gotcha.
In order to make the flow of the house work well.
Okay.
And so we just need that. I think it's just 3 feet we're wanting to move it.
Okay. Well, I think you're with the window added, the alternate version there, the door, then the columns that are you keeping the center column that's there, just adding one to the left of it? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you can, go match siding, which is I know you get that siding, so that shouldn't be a problem. If it, I think the alternate, I'm not speaking for anybody else but me right now, but I mean, I think the alternate is what I would prefer, and, trim detail to match the other and all that. Obviously dressing up what's there just because it's needing some attention for a while.
Yes.
But, anybody else have any questions, any other concerns about this?
For transparency, I had used Bluebeam to take what Zach submitted and demonstrate what the comments look like. So that's not something that he provided.
Gotcha. Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, but I'm assuming, Zach, you've seen this, right? These drawings?
Yes.
Okay. And the recommendations by staff, you're aware of everything that's been put out?
Yes, sir. As
Okay.
far as the new window, the door with the new column placement,
Right.
I think the porch steps will be moved over to center up with the door. I mean, it's things that are should be obvious to be done on that. And then trying to think if there was anything else on there. Oh, we talked about a vent up top.
Okay. Well,
Which
you
we
probably
need to do
find,
that.
let's say you'll probably find the relics of one up there anyway behind that side, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe not. Well, okay. I mean, can we back up? Those recommendations that he's made, which are, the extra column and all that stuff. If you're okay with that, I think it makes for a more handsome, front there.
Yes, sir. I like that a lot better, actually.
Okay. I just want to establish that for everybody here. So, anybody else have any questions? Or comments?
James, I'm glad that you did that rendering for us to see. It made it a lot easier to envision how the recommendations would change that design. And I think that it makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that Zach's on board with it. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
glad this is going back to single family. I'm sure the neighbors will be too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Anybody else? Liz, you still there? Uh-oh.
I am. I'm muted. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm cleaning up after my kids, so I don't want you to hear everything going on.
Okay. If you
No, I agree with everything that's being said.
Okay. I wasn't requiring you to speak up. I just suddenly I was losing track of everybody. Okay. This is
it's okay. I apologize.
Get a table together. Okay. I'm needing some guidance then if we're not gonna bust his chops.
I make a motion to approve with staff's recommendations.
A second.
Is that a question or a motion?
I think it's my first motion to make official. I usually am the
Okay, if it's your
seconder.
first motion, you're allowed to be a question. Okay, so motion is approval with the staff recommendations as they are. Everybody?
Yes.
agree with
Yeah.
That and, okay.
And I second it.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I was just going to second the motion.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Taylor, I see your eye. Thank you. Okay, with that, Zach, thank you very much. And just James deals with paperwork and all the COA. We've got. I guess that's that for that one. Okay, thank you so much, Zach.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's see. Okay, next one we've got is the building facade change on Harkrider. And if we've got somebody here, I think Cody, I saw you a minute ago, if you're still around.
Yeah, Steve, this is Cody Ferris with 27 Bluebird Lane,
Okay.
Conway.
Excuse me, this is Mike Argo. I don't mean to interrupt you, but the sequence, is it supposed to be 1830 Scott Street next?
Hold on. No, that's after this one.
Okay,
Yeah, I have Cody next.
so sorry, I had a different agenda.
You're fine. You're fine, Mark. Don't worry about it, Mike. It's just, yeah, it's the very next one after this.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Cody, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. This is an existing 4-bay garage. It was a service garage. It's a concrete tilt-up panel existing with garage doors and two man doors on that Harkrider face. And kind of last minute there, just before the submission, the owner came in and said he wanted to include this as part of the gas station remodel that you guys have approved a couple of months ago.
Right.
So he doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, but he wants to incorporate some of the features, materials, and storefront systems that we used on that fuel station just to extend down and turn those 4 garage bays into 4 tenant spaces. So what we're proposing is bringing the brick that we're using on the facade of the gas station over and extending it up. The tilt-up panel has a gravel look to it, so it's not ideal. We want to bring that brick all the way up just over the head of the doors, and then remove the garage doors, add storefront glass systems with canopies that match the approved ones on that fuel station. And since it was so last minute, we weren't able to get anything from the civil engineer to show you a site plan. I know some of the comments were relevant to development review, such as landscaping, parking, drive entry, site
Right.
lighting. So
Right.
all of that will match and still go through James and the planning department. But what we're proposing today is the facade and getting this portion of it approved to proceed as we move into the site plan process with the civil to catch up.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Cody.
Yep.
Let's see, James, any public comments on this?
Nope, we did not receive any comments.
Okay. All right. As Cody said, we reviewed and approved the remodel of the gas station. This is part of that. Majority of this oversight of this whole thing will be development review through James's office, unrelated to us, but we're looking at what it looks like basically. And so there's a lot of things that they've got a lot of boxes they tick for development review that we're not a part of. But as far as the way it looks and goes with the other, that's what we're here to see if this is okay. So with that, anybody else have any questions or any comments, concerns?
So Cody, I know you mentioned some of the things in the recommendations, like going through development review. Is everything else as far as the recommendations, do you guys understand and agree with as far as repairing the sidewalks if they get damaged, no additional access from Harkrider, the HVAC equipment, everything, is that okay with you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay.
Well, I think this is really interesting. I'm very interested to see how this turns out.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited at
Yeah.
the for both of them, for both projects. It's
Yeah,
great.
it'll be a more active corner there.
Yeah, it's gonna be really pretty.
Yeah. All right, anybody else have any
Hey,
other comments?
Cody, I have a question.
Yeah.
Slash architect suggestion slash budget thought. If he's not wanting to spend a bunch of money, is there any reason to cover up the aggregate panels?
It's not, more so it's he hates the aggregate on it, and he wanted to find a solution that would skim coat it or put something else on there. And we've already approved a brick on that fuel station.
Yeah, and there wasn't any aggregate on the station that you're trying to save or anything like that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Honestly, he'll probably once he sees the price of the brick, it's definitely a VE option.
Yeah, we'll see aggregate there, painted or not. We'll see aggregate on that thing at the end. But
yeah, I was going to say I'd almost make a recommendation that be something the owner considers saving, if at all possible. I mean, in either save all or part of it, and maybe that's a value engineering solution that you can present to him as well. I don't think I have any issue with the brick itself, but I don't have any issue with the aggregate either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with any comments or questions? Okay, we need to process it then if we can.
I'll motion to approve with recommendations provided by staff.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
A motion and a second for approval and with recommendations as printed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that carries. And Cody, you know the drill on this. It'll be the COA. As soon as James gets to it, and you'll have your way forward after that.
Awesome. I appreciate y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on our list, and Mike, if you can hear me, we have our new single-family residence. We have two of them, east and the west house, but at 1830 Scott is technically the first one on our list. Somebody want to speak for that? Got Tracy Crow listed, and Mike, I know you're there. Mike Argo.
Okay, Mike Argo. I live at 815 Mitchell Street, and I have with me Tracy Crow. I'll just introduce you to him. And he lives at...
I'm Tracy Crow, owner of Crow Contracting, and my resident address is 1865 Cox Cove in Conway.
Okay.
And I'm proposing to, like I said, build two single-family residences on this spot.
Okay.
And the square footage is 1,800 and I think
1874 on one of them and 1846 on the other.
Okay.
And that'll be, as you can see, the design. I hope you can see it. I'm not sure.
We have the submission. We do. We have pictures and drawings and stuff.
So those are 3-bedroom, 2-bath on both of them, and they're craftsman style. And we see your recommendations here. So let's speak to those if we can.
Let me real quick, Mike, just for order of things. Presented it. Now and normally if we're sitting in a room together, I'd ask for anybody else speaking in favor, then anybody else speaking in opposition. So in with that, I'm going to check with James to see if we got any public input, and then we'll start talking about it all we need to. So James,
there is a comment I need to read into the record from Lane and Kevin Berry at 1926 Scott. It reads, members of the Historic District Commission Board, we are writing to express our strong opposition to the proposed design of the new construction homes to be located on Scott Street between Mitchell and Davis Streets. We will be out of town for the June meeting where these properties will be reviewed, and so wanted to take this opportunity to express our concerns. Sorry if you can hear my garage door opener. That's the sound of the dungeon opening standing beneath me. We have lived on Scott Street for 21 years, owning and restoring 1721 Scott and 1926 Scott. This thoroughfare from Locust Avenue to Donaghy Avenue is a diverse architectural mini-climate, showcasing homes from the American Foursquare, Folk Victorian, Colonial Revival, and Craftsman periods. It is an important and fairly intact architectural area, but has recently come under attack from demolition and proposed development. The issues with the proposed new builds are multitude, beginning with the demolition of a contributing structure on the lot and the subdividing of the lot from one site to three. Downtown Conway is set apart from other downtown residential areas by its large lots and varied setbacks. And I do want to clarify from that comment, Mr. Crow, what he is doing is taking 2.5 lots and making it into 2 lots.
Can I clarify something too, real quick? In the comment, another comment that was made saying that it was a contributing structure. It's in the overlay district, and we don't classify the structures as contributing or non-contributing. That's only in the ACP Robinson district. So that if that's, I think that's the way they were looking at that, and that's not technically the case.
Okay. Yep. Downtown Conway is set apart from other residential areas by its large lots and varied setbacks. However, the demolition has already occurred and sadly cannot be reversed. The proposed new structures have the following design issues that cannot be overcome. The proposed designs do not fit into any historic architectural style represented in the downtown area. Indeed, they do not fit into any architectural style at all and are merely a poor amalgam of different, more modern interpretations of historical styles. In these designs, we do not see the defining characteristics of the styles they purport to be. The American bungalow should include deep eaves with exposed rafters, a well-balanced symmetrical facade, a wide front porch with large columns, often squared, low rise, large front veranda. As there is no historic architectural style known as New American House, I will use the next closest style to the proposed board and batten siding, which I would propose as the American Vernacular Farmhouse. The American Vernacular Farmhouse should include the vast use of wide porches, often wide and wrap around, rectangular floor plan, and sometimes in a T shape, 1.5 to 2 stories, side gable and roofs. As you can clearly see, the proposed designs in no way accurately reflect the architectural styles they are meant to mimic, and therefore are architecturally incompatible with the area. Number 2, the most egregiously, both designs feature not only a front-facing garage, but a front-facing garage that extends past the front facade of the home. This is utterly out of line with the design of the neighborhood and is represented nowhere on the surrounding blocks. Even homes that have been built within the last 20 years have observed the rear entry, side entry, detached or side back or setback garage plan. The front-facing prominent garage design makes these 2 suggested plans absolutely out of the question for inclusion in the historic overlay area. I propose to you that people who live and invest in downtown do so out of a desire to escape exactly this type of architecture. If we wanted to be surrounded by architecturally ambiguous homes crammed closely together with no visual interest or historical importance, there are a plethora of areas available. Instead, we seek to invest in our community's architectural heritage and rely on you to protect our investment and the architectural integrity of our area. I humbly ask that these plans be denied acceptance by the Historic District Commission Board and that you require the builder to promote historic integrity and cohesiveness in our ever-shrinking historic district. Whew, that's it. That was a long read, sorry.
I was about to say, you did that without taking a drink of water or anything, James. Good job.
All right. Mr. Crow, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Some of the things that were said, I'm not going to defend it or talk against it, other than that I think they were under the impression that we were in the ACP Robinson district with this property, and some of the things they said apply to that where they don't apply the same way to the overlay district. So there's some tempering of some of those comments should be made. But with that, to y'all now, I guess we've done the introduction, whatever. We can talk if anybody has any questions for Mr. Crow or Mr. Argo too, but Mr. Crow in particular. Let's just jump in and start our meeting part. Part of this part of the hearing. So, we've got lots of people.
In looking at the elevations, the rear elevation, I guess you would call that the E, just looks really big to me. And then on the left and right elevations, the roof looks really big. And I don't know if it is really as big as it looks, or, I mean, does that look big to anybody else?
I mean, there's a good amount of house below that. I mean, I don't know that that doesn't, I mean, it's.
What are the square footages again?
I'm sorry, Liz, what?
What's the square footages of each?
Liz, I think they're
What's the area of each house?
1800.
I think 1874, 1856, 46 was one of them.
About 18 and a half, 1850 or so, plus, and then a little more. To me, the roof, I'm not saying it's not a big roof, but it's reflecting it's a gable, and I think that's okay in my opinion. It's trying to do a lot with that roof. I think the biggest thing that we've got to talk about, I'm not discounting your concern about the roof, Margaret, but I think it kind of might go away a little bit to a degree, because on the recommendations and the reality of the guidelines is that having garages at the front, both these houses, I think the recommendations are identical, as I recall. I'm not trying to merge the two into one discussion, but it's going to be the same thing, in that a front garage is not allowed in the guidelines, and setback, it has to be back further than halfway up the house on the side. That's a weird way to say it, but it can't be in front of the halfway line, across the house. So that's a design issue that that's going to change. It's going to change the look of the house if that guideline is met. So to me, that's the kind of the first big thing we need to talk about and deal with. And then again, if it's something that changes related to that, the roof will change, Margaret, and we'll have a different thing to look at. But I'm right now, that's probably our biggest concern on those recommendations, in that the garages cannot be in the front of the house like that. So, and it also led to a wide driveway, big double wide driveway going right into that too, which is usually does not happen when the things are set back to the back rear of the house or whatever. So I'll be quiet now, but with that.
I'm not sure where the overlay ends at, but if you go right on down Scott Street headed toward Donaghy, about 2 blocks right before you get to Donaghy, there's a newly built house that has a front load, not a garage, but a carport, and it's recently built. So I was just wondering why that one was allowed to do that.
Well, I don't know dimensions, but the carport's set back. The face of it's set back from the front of the house. I don't know. I can't tell you it's exactly halfway or further back, but it's not up in front of the house, and that's the thing. This thing is the dominant thing on this elevation, and the other one is a garage. Yeah. The porch is secondary. Everything is secondary to that garage, and that's what we don't allow in the overlay district or the historic district, H.P. Robinson district. So to me, there's about 3 different references to it in the guidelines, and they're fairly clear on where it can be and all that. And this doesn't meet it. I mean, it's a hard, you can't overcome it really that easy without moving that garage. And it's done. We've got many that have been done the right way too. So it's not Mr. Argo's house, was built. We approved it, and the garage is in the back, and that's a little single driveway going back to it with everything you need for a garage in the back.
So Steve, the driveway needs to be a single drive that.
Well, that it's kind of what ends up. It forms itself usually when you set it to the back, or it's set back from the house, back from the front. It's maybe to you drive back and turn in or something like that. You don't need but a single drive to get back to then where you have an apron large apron to get into a double garage. So it kind of made it, and also it when the property is a certain width, a double wide driveway won't happen down the side of a house. You know that we were doing that on your house, and keeping that in the property line, a single width, decent width driveway gets you back to where you can do what you need to do in the back with the garage. So it's actually a space saver going the single back to where you can then spread out. But that's, again, it's a hard one to overcome, just sitting there looking at it like it is and saying that, it would fly in the face of the main guideline that we're looking at. And that's I don't know. That's why the recommendations are what they are too. So somebody else, speak up, please. Y'all know I can talk all night, and I don't want to dominate it, but
Would the front
I
load,
agree.
would the front load be permitted as long as the garage, like the house down close to Donaghy, as long as the garage didn't stick forward from the rest of the house?
I'm sorry.
Is that an option instead of going back to the drawing board and new plans and designs and another month down, versus not putting the garage in the back with a drive down the side of the house to get to the garage in the back? If it was a front load like the one I was referring to down close to Donaghy on Scott Street, as long as the front load didn't protrude past the front of the house.
You can have a garage on the side of the house. It's just it has the front of it is not supposed to be in any closer to the front of the house than halfway the depth of the house. You've got the house pretty deep, so you got I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it's you've got basically I don't know the dimensions. I can't. There's like 59 feet. I'm looking at the one on the west, 59 feet 4 inches. So just under 30 feet back from the face of that is where you can have a garage on the one on the west. I'm looking at dimensions. The other one's 68 feet, I think. So 34 feet back from the front is where that big could be, and incorporated in the house. That's just, that's what the guidelines are. I'm not, I don't, we can argue all day about the dimensions of the one down the street, but that's not, we're here, not down there. And
let's talk just a second, Steve, about if he gets the setback on the garage correct, and that he complies with the roof pitch. We need to resubmit a plan to this committee for next month's meeting. Is that right?
James, you want to answer that? I don't, as far as what the process you're asking, I'm if I put words in your mouth, I apologize. But basically, does the redo of this, making this right, require we're going to bump you to coming before us next month, or is it something that we can, say it's okay if James is okay with it between whenever it gets done? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Right. Yes, that's
Okay.
a good way to say it.
I don't, and for me, I don't know if the garages, move, how much it's going to change that house, how that looks. So this is just me. I'm answering for me. I don't know how much it might alter the house to where we have really a different thing to look at. And that's where, I don't know. James, you have some input on that?
It depends on the comfort level of the commission in terms of reviewing.
I personally am not comfortable with it. I think if that's going to be a major factor in how the house is going to look, and I'd like to see it again.
I agree, and especially with the public input, I feel like we owe it to the neighbors to give us the full review again once we see the redesign. Not trying to be difficult or slow anything down, but I do think it's our responsibility to respect the neighbors' wishes.
I agree. That was some very passionate input that they had.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay, so let me just respect that opinion of this committee. We would like to know, in the interpretation of going back to the design, would there be any other input that we could take back to the design person? Mr. Monty Moritz is doing the design.
Yeah, there's a lot of options on doing it. You can adjust something like this to a narrow side or not, and have that single drive, like I said, go back and turn 90 degrees into a garage that's back behind. Or it can be, if there's got width, you can have it, a single width driveway back to the garage. It's halfway back of the house and opens up to a skirt, and you get into the garage that way. It can, and again, Mike, you've done this yourself. You can have a garage that's totally detached and connected by a breezeway or not, or whatever, in the backyard back there. So there's options. It's just that magic line halfway back on the building from their back is that's kind of the start requirement. After that, we're not going to say you can't have a garage door facing the street that when it's back halfway, it satisfies the requirement. So,
okay.
So I don't know. It's something that maybe Monty needs to review the guidelines before he does drawings again. But
that's what I was going to say. It seems like whoever designed it, and I don't mean this mean, but it seems like they weren't taking into consideration our guidelines, because I think if they were, we wouldn't have a modern looking house.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I feel like there's a certain level of detailing that's already on the plans that I appreciate from Monty. So I don't want to say he wasn't paying attention to the guidelines at all. But I do think that some of the guidelines that we are not as able to overlook, the garage being pulled forward and some of the scaling issues and that kind of thing. I think those are the ones that need to be kind of looked over and re-reviewed. So I don't want to discredit him completely for not having read, because there's a fair level of detailing and balance and things like that.
There is. I agree with you, Liz. There is. It's just I think the recommendations that are there, the front setbacks. I know, James, we have some leeway to a point on setbacks. So I'm not keen on that right now. The garage location, obviously, we're talking about driveways too wide, so that that moving the garage can change that. Front walkway, from the sidewalk, that bunker sidewalk to the house. I live with that bunker sidewalk out on one side of my house, but and then if there's any fencing, we need to know that. That's just there if there's going to be some. And let's see. Oh, trying not to hurt that tree. And if a narrower driveway, over to the side would probably take care of that. And then the number 7, the front facade being redesigned, that's going to happen if you take the garage away. So I think the answering the one about the garage will automatically let the others happen. So I'm not worried about I didn't mean to pick up. I've known Monty for 25 years, so I wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but what? I'm sorry.
You were right. This is my first time. This is not his first time. He should have knew that.
And you are right there. So you talk to him however you want to, but and I might too next time I see him. But anyway, it's really the fixing that, fixing that part pretty much will handle everything else. It looks like, if I'm wrong, we'll find out. But it looks like that I'm not saying all recommendations will go away with the garage being moved, but certainly the concerns are going to be much less because one thing will make 3 or 4 others be okay, is my opinion.
And also, when Monty drew these plans, it's just drawings on paper. There are ways, that's like, if you look at the drawing, it looks like a modern typical fascia board, which I know they put in vinyl siding and aluminum fascia, and that's what Mike did, so evidently that's okay. But there are a lot of things that could be done to make it look less modern and more to that era.
More craftsman style.
Sure. And I get that. And again, the elements, the brick and the siding, that's great, and that's fine. But when it comes to like some of the other things that people tend to kind of go past, like a large front porch that will be manageable with the garages gone. That mitigates a lot of stuff sometimes, and the porch and the scale of things kind of changes when you do that. So both all that materials and scale of parts and pieces done the way that with that garage out of the way, well, you know, it's gonna be, I'm sure, fine. But anyway, I guess for the most part, we gotta get that corrected, the other part. And I don't know, I guess, James, does the applicant have the option to table it, or do we move on it? Cause I mean, I'm not trying to speak for everybody. I'm just assuming we're saying that we're not there with this. If the applicant is, you know, hearing that too, and that it's not going to happen tonight, probably. I'm just, again, what do we do? What are our choices that we do? James?
Y'all can table it. The applicant can request that it be tabled.
Okay. So, okay, how does that transfer then into notifications and stuff? You know,
it would just be continued to the next month.
Okay, so we didn't have to go through the notification process again?
No.
Okay. You hear that, Tracy?
Yeah. Which one of y'all is gonna go out and explain that to the neighbor that's ready to see something going on? I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, some of them are listening now probably, but it's, you know, this was,
yeah.
Being chairman of the Historic District Commission, being 3 lots away from this, I've had some people want to discuss it with me. Yeah. And everybody, the first thing everybody said was the garages, you know, need to be moved. Okay. And that's pretty much what that's what I was hearing from people, you know, and the letter from the Berries was the same thing. So that, you know, that seems to, at least right now, you know, seems to have been the crux of the negative comments on it. And I'm, you know, I think we're handling it just fine here. And you hear us, and I think we're hearing you that you're, you know, it's something to be looked at, and we're gonna maybe meet, you know, look at it again next month.
We'll get on it.
We'll make some changes and get back with you guys. Margaret, did you have a question?
Yes. If we have another comment, should we give it now or should we wait till next month?
What do you mean? From you?
Yes.
I mean, it to me, any comments now just help them figure out what they're going to do for next time.
Any comments?
I don't like both of them having all the board and batten. To me, it looks like it will make it look even more like, okay, well, those two were built at the same time, or we got a good deal on board and batten. I would like them to
one be batten,
less similar.
One of them not have bats on it, board and batten.
Something like that. Yeah, I think that's what she's saying. Yeah. We had a few years ago, many years ago, early on in the overlay, we had a man built a couple of houses, did them both in brick, and changed the color on the trim, and they were absolutely identical, even though it was brick and all. And he ended up flipping them, so one was a mirror image of the other, and it's to this day, it was regrettable. You know, I mean, because they were identical shapes, and that's a little different than what Margaret's talking about, but. Yeah. But I think if we can distinguish the two by different material, pattern, texture, whatever, that'd be great. But
well, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. We could do lap siding on one and board bat on the other.
And that sounds as simple.
Or just a combination of materials. I mean, I don't think we have to split them up. And like you're saying, I think if it becomes, you know, they're the same plan or they're very similar, which these two are not. But I feel like they just need to have some kind of variation to them.
Yeah, the simplest, would be the one type of siding on one and one type on the other, and that as long as it meets the siding, specifications, that would be the simplest.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
I have one more comment before we move on, and this is just a personal opinion, but I feel like those shutters do not make it feel historic at all, and it's just a personal opinion. And you said you wanted it, so maybe we can look at. I thought we had a thing about shutters. I got up to look for my rule book. I thought we weren't allowed to have shutters on new construction.
I'm not a big fan of shutters neither, and that's just a Monty thing. He just drew them on there.
You need to have a talk with Monty, I think, on a couple of things.
Yeah. Again, my personal opinion. When I opened it up, I literally just went, "Oh my gosh," because that doesn't look historic to me.
Yeah. Well,
they're very trendy.
Yeah, Tracy, do you want to formally ask for it to be tabled, or do we need to table it for you, or what do you want to do?
Well, whatever makes things happen faster. I had to.
all we can do, because there's so much to change and so much, we don't know how it's going to affect it. We need to see it again. So if you will request to be tabled or we do it ourselves, doesn't matter. But
If you table it till next time.
we'll do that. We will do that. And but like I said, what that relieves you of, you don't have to do the notification process again. All that stays the same.
Yeah.
So no, the sign just stays up. You don't have any more output or any more work to do on the notification thing. So
That will be great.
So that means we are on the agenda for next time.
James, I think, is
Correct.
nodding his head. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, there should be no question there. So anybody listening that's not part of our panel here, this will be reviewed next month, and just pay attention to, when it comes up if you're interested in. So
Thank you all so much.
thank both of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you
you,
for
guys.
accommodating our
Thank
change,
you.
being so willing to change.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Now,
The next one on the list is the next one. We don't have to go to that because we've covered everything on both.
I guess without saying it, I kind of rolled them both together because they're both, the recommendations were identical.
Yeah.
And I just, everything we said applies to both of them.
Okay.
So just, Monty gets to hear it twice from you then.
Yeah. That won't get it.
Hey, tell him I said, hey. All right. Well, thank y'all again. And we'll move along here then.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Next one up is the institutional building on South Boulevard. And I believe if we're still got everybody, we have, where'd he go? The Jason Lawrence.
Yeah, Jason Lawrence is on, but this is also Russ Faison, the architect.
Okay, good. So if you're going to talk about it, give me your name and address, and then we can jump right in here.
Okay, Russ Faison with WE Architects at 901 West 3rd in Little Rock.
And Jason Lawrence with Conway Public Schools, 2220 Prince Street.
All right. Okay. Thank y'all. So somebody tell us what we got here.
Well, basically, this is the preschool facility, and we're renovating there's kind of 3 buildings on the site right now, a 1952 building, a 1970s building, and then a 1992 building. We're renovating the 92 building to make room for the preschool, and then adding on a new kitchen facility because the existing one's very undersized. And that new building is a safe room / that's where their dining will be in. After that's complete, we're going to clean up the site, do more secure parking and playgrounds, and demolish the 1952 building.
I got to tell you, that's painful. My children went to elementary school there, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it is. It's lived its life though.
it was elderly when they were there. So anyway,
right.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You got anything more to say about that? Or
nope, that's it.
All right. James, any public input?
Negative. No input.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll open up to questions from the commissioners. First, have y'all seen the recommendations from staff?
Yes, and I sent, I guess, to James a response to the recommendations. Really, I think all of them are easy. The biggest one is moving the dumpster trash enclosure, and I worked with Civil today to come up with a new plan, and we'll get that to James to get him to review.
Okay. So that shall be relocated is being relocated then.
Yeah, that's in the works.
Okay.
And then we didn't provide a landscape plan because normally Conway does their own landscape, so we don't provide a landscape plan, but we're going to provide one to Jason and then just let them implement it. So when we get that done, we'll give that to James also to review.
That's number 2 on the preservation, tree preservation and landscape plan.
And staff was great with the responses. We were good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or concerns real quick? Any other commissioners?
Kind of like to see more windows. I mean, I know you don't need windows because of what it is, the storm shelter, but I'd kind of like to see some fake windows, maybe mats of brick or, especially on that north elevation.
I think I might be more concerned about the south elevation since that's right on Robbins Street. That's kind of my concern, not concern, but I'm just curious. I see that you have a dumpster right on the corner of Robbins and Center. And so, and I know that one of the recommendations was to move the dumpster enclosure and kind of the same thing. I'd be interested to know what you guys had planned as far as the site development for right there on that street, because that's the corner, the catty corner of the baseball field, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
If I'm orienting myself correctly.
You are.
Yeah. So like if that corner is going to be like a nice lawn with eventually big trees and that kind of thing, I'm all for it. And that would feel kind of right. But I feel like I just need a little bit more information, I think, which might be solved with the landscape plan.
Yeah, and there will be trees. So one of the comments was for the new construction area that there needs to be trees spaced at 30 feet, I believe, on the perimeter of the site there. So there will be new trees there, and we had some other landscaping planned closer to the building. We have one mechanical screen, which is a masonry screen there on the south side.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're right.
And
I was thinking that with the dumpster.
Yeah, we were going to recommend some, nice close plantings there to help even screen it is a masonry screen, so you won't see the mechanical at all. But we were going to recommend some landscape in front of that also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we would love to have more windows in it as well. We've got the 3 windows into the safe room, and honestly, they're just super expensive to put into a storm shelter, right, which is why we have as few as we have.
Sometimes, windows, again, this particular building is it's not something you have a lot of or can have, but with the brick, the elevations, I'm trying to look, even if we had some recessed panels in the brick, I think, some fenestration with that, might help. Margaret doesn't put windows in, but at least that there's some, if that can be done, there's some kind of in and out of the faces of it, just to soften it instead of just a big brick. What I'm looking at is hard to, I'm trying to see it up close here, but I'm not getting.
Yeah, we are running some accent bands of in the brick. I also think that some trees and landscaping closer to the building will help a lot also.
And that's true. Margaret, what about that? Are you concerned about what trees and landscaping kind of soften the building to the street? Would that start overcoming the lack of windows?
Well, I like your idea on the recessed brick panels.
And there's 1,000 ways to do that. I'm not going to figure that out, but
yeah,
that might be something to, we're, half inch to an inch, that kind of thing can add a little shadow line to things and just soften up a stark wall of brick. Even with the bands up there, it still may be something that can help. We
can look at that.
Yeah.
I would say the east and the south elevations would be the most important to try to articulate a little more.
Sure. I kind of agree.
I agree.
Okay. West side. Okay. Anybody else? Again, it's the sadness in my heart that Sally Cohen's going away. I'm trying to overcome, but I walk those halls a lot, and I'm not saying it shouldn't go, but my little babies grew up there. So anyway, that's all. I'm done with that. That's all I'm saying. Should not affect any solution we have here. It's just a comment. So anyway, anybody else have any questions or concerns? We need to keep going. Taylor, I know you're listening. I don't know if you haven't commented since our last one, but do you anything from you if you're there? Taylor says, bit curious of number 5. Oh, we're talking guideline recommendations, Taylor. Is that okay? Yeah, he's talking about recommendation number 5. Talking about all, let me read it here. All new fencing or replacement fencing in excess of 100 contiguous feet shall be painted or coated in a non-obtrusive color.
Yeah, and I will say that almost all of the fencing on the site, except the western border, will be replaced. And Conway's district standard is a black vinyl coated chain link. So that's what would be, what they would be going back in with.
Yeah. Okay. Taylor, is that okay? Did you hear the black, Taylor? Thanks for this. Okay, he's good. I think he's good. All right. Anybody else have any questions or concerns? I don't think anybody has an argument with what it's a function building, and it's kind of is what it is to a point, but I think it's clean and crisp and all. So
I'll motion to approve with recommendations.
okay. All right.
Second.
The motion and a second. Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Emily.
Okay. Motion. You're the motion and second pair.
Wanted to
Taylor
clarify.
technically motioned before I did. It was just in the chat.
Oh, he did.
If you want to give credit to Taylor.
Yeah, let's credit the motion to Taylor. So
Staff wanted to clarify, or is there any additional condition relating to recessing a brick on the south and east facades, or
I feel like some vertical breaks would be good.
Yeah, I think so. Whether it's at column lines or it's something that makes sense with structure too. But just if we can put that in a recommendation form, would be nice. It's breaking up that plane of brick. I mean, the banding of soldier courses is fine. On some days you see it, some days you don't with clouds and stuff. But you'll always have a texture of shadow lines and stuff with recessed panels. I'm not gonna dictate sizes and things like that, but it's just I'm sure Russ can handle that handsomely. But listen, if we could do that, I guess you're asking, James, should it be a requirement that they do that on those two elevations?
I was just asking if that was there was a lot of discussion, so I didn't know if that was.
Well, Tyler made the motion and Emily seconded. If they want to revise their motion right now to reflect that, that's fine. And he says he's a slow typer, so he may be typing as we speak. I'm just watching the text come up. And Taylor, did you hear that?
Yeah, I think he's typing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner.
Does that?
Can anybody make the addendum, or does it have to be Taylor?
No. Well, we can. If he's okay with adding that as a requirement, that's all he has to say is yes.
Okay.
We're adding that to the motion, and he's fine with. He said yes again. So James, if you want to word it.
Yeah, additional articulation such as recessed brick on the south and east facades.
That sounds fine. That gives a lot of latitude to you, Russ. I mean, I think that'll.
Yeah, we can do that. We can work with that.
And it's not a money thing. It's just a dimension thing on the plan, basically. But I say that without it being my money. But all right, okay. So, and Taylor said perfect for that. So we've got the motion that's been amended per James's sentence he read. You're okay with the? Looks like Taylor's okay. Emily, you okay with it?
Yes, sir.
Right. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. With the numbers that we have, we got 4 of y'all. I've not had to vote, but 4 is our quorum. So we've been good on every one of them. Just so everybody knows that we're 4 voting for it. So, all right. With that one said, Russ
I wanted to clarify the vote was 4-1-1.
What?
Yeah, I heard an opposition.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just late to the game. I in favor. Sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't unmute myself fast enough.
That's
I apologize.
It's unanimous in favor.
Just a minor detail.
in case, everybody gets nervous. So Russ, you and Jason, thank y'all. And if y'all, James will be doing the COA and all that stuff, and y'all can continue on with that. And again, Russ, you're dealing with him on an ongoing basis with the recommendations and the landscaping plan. So y'all be in contact.
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, thank y'all for coming.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Okay. Next one up is, I'm going to scroll. Hold on. Okay, this is one that was presented to us before, back in a month ago, and we decided to bring it to the full group with questions or just with dealing with it. But it's a garage breezeway enclosure on Harkrider that I think we've all visited this and seen pictures and all, and I think I'm not sure. All I've got
This
is
is just included for reporting purposes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That COA has been issued on it.
Oh, well, never
Yeah,
mind.
I was confused. Okay, thanks.
Me too. I was too. If you didn't notice, but okay, all right. So we don't need to vote on it, do we?
No.
Okay. Well, that makes that the last thing to deal with, and I'm worn out. I don't know.
That was a busy agenda. Whew.
It was for
That's a lot.
and for virtual. It was fun, but
Yeah.
well, with that, I guess we're done. I think my cat's she's still cleaning herself behind me. Y'all can see that. But she's been reclining and just lounging back there. But anybody else have anything? I think if we're good to go. You waving?
Margaret has something.
Oh, Margaret's got something. I'm sorry.
It's raising my hand. Okay, on the conference deal that is coming up, I guess late July. If we want to do that, do we need to send in the $100 directly, or James, do we need to go through your office, or how do we need to go about that?
Let me get with Catherine. I've got to follow up, and I'm sorry I hadn't responded to your email. It's been we were at work and then at home, and then we've got stuff coming up, and so it's been a little bit crazy. But yeah, I will check on that and then get back with you.
Okay, I want to know too. But and too, I want to thank James for this. I mean, the city, they got sent home for 8 weeks, back at work in the new building for 2 weeks, and now they're sent back home again as of this past week. And my wife being one of them too. And it's just, I know they can't get into a routine. So that he's even wanting to be on here is pretty good. But we appreciate it. But anyway, we'll soldier on. If we do this again next time, we at least know what to expect. I had no idea what to expect before tonight, but I think it went fine.
I like it.
Was good with it.
Yeah, we'll just make all future meetings this way. And
Yeah. I'm just gonna.
I'll have on my comfy pants.
I'll get my cat to clean herself somewhere else next time. But
Taylor says no.
Do what?
Yeah, Taylor's at a bit of a disadvantage in this one.
Well, we'll work on it, Taylor, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
He's the ghost commissioner.
He's the ghost commissioner. That's right. All right.
You never know when he's going to pop up.
To make a motion to. Taylor.
Wait, I did have one announcement for y'all.
What's that?
We will have a presentation of the historic preservation plan on the 30th
of this month.
The 30th of this month. It's not going to public hearing, but it is a draft public presentation.
I would assume through this medium instead of in person. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be done via Zoom and recorded and be made accessible. And then what we'll do is after that enter a period of public comment to allow individuals to provide comments on it, and then we'll enter the formal adoption process where we'll bring it to y'all for review and adoption.
Well, keep us informed on that, and maybe a reminder to everybody for the 30th if we or an invite, whatever would be good.
Time frames?
I'm sorry?
Do you know a time yet?
It's in the evening, I think 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, James, if y'all could send out a Google Calendar invite like you guys have been doing with the meetings, that would be extremely helpful for me.
Yeah.
That's how I remember everything.
Yeah. Just so everybody notices, if you didn't notice, Tyler made a motion to adjourn, and then we started talking again over him. That's still standing. If we want a second and then say bye, but
I second. We all do.
2 seconds. Although I'm not, we don't even vote on it. Let's be done. But thank you, everybody. Thank y'all. And I think
thank you guys.
Well,
have a great night.
Bye.
Stay safe. All right.
Bye.
See y'all.